بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to continue our study of al-Mahajjah al-Baydaa, 5th volume, the section on Aafaat al-Lisaan, defects of the tongue. After introducing the whole section and talking about merits of silence, then we start with those 20 defects. If you remember, we said there are 20 problems. The first one, al-Aafaat al-Ula, al-Kalam fima la ya'nik, to talk about things that don't matter to you, are not needed, are not, relevant, beneficial. So the writer says, even if you manage to avoid all the sins, lying, backbiting, false accusation, hypocrisy, all the problems, if you manage to avoid all those problems and just say something which is free from all the sins, but it's useless, still this is bad. Your words are very valuable. If you use them, it's like spending your money for buying useless things. So for example, you go to desert and there are millions of sands and someone is selling you sands and you give money. So this is useless. You can pick up as many and no one is going to benefit from them. They're useless. So he says, at least there are two problems. تضيع زمانك, you are wasting your time. And when we say wasting time, it's just not time, it's energy, it's attention, lots of things. Plus, تحاسب على عمل لسانك, you have to answer them. Everything that we say, even if it is one word, we have to answer. Just this answering, even if you have, a good answer, if you have good answer, still it's, painful somehow, especially on the day of judgment that, we are in stress and we want to finish everything. So just to answer these things is difficult. And this is if you manage to keep everything away from haram and don't say anything bad, just saying things which are not beneficial. Instead, if you had spent this time in at least thinking or better in dhikr, in remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you could have said more la ilaha illallah, more subhanallah, more salawat, it could be much more better. So with one word you can make a palace in heaven for yourself, but then if you don't do anything, you are losing. Mu'min, a believer, according to this beautiful hadith from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, that he says, Rasulullah said, Inna awliya Allah sakatu. Awliya Allah, friends of Allah, are those who kept silent. Therefore, فَكَانَ سُكُوتُهُمْ ذِكْرًا, their silence was remembrance of Allah. You think they are not doing anything, but actually they are doing the best things. وَنَظَرُوا, and when they look, if they look at anything, فَكَانَ نَظَرُهُمْ عِبْرَةً, is in order to get lessons. Yeah? So two people go to park or gardens. One person is just trying to not to be at home. One person tries to get some energy, which is good. But someone, in addition to all this, is looking at these gardens and thinks about Allah's creation and Allah's, design, etc. So you can get different, benefits. So if they are silent, it's a dhikr. If they look at things, it's ibrah. وَالنَّطَقُوا فَكَانَ نُطْقُهُمْ حِكْمَةً. If they speak, then it's wisdom. Their words of wisdom come from. And if they walk among people, مَشَوْا فَكَانَ مَشْيُهُمْ بَيْنَ النَّاسِ بَرَكَةً. When awliyaullah walk among people, they bring barakah to people. So our capital, which is our time and our energy, etc., should be used for something that can either give us something better, we make profit, or at least we don't lose. If we just give for something which is useless, so we are losing. There is a hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, min husn islam al-mar tarkuhu ma la ya'ni. A requirement of good faith is to leave what doesn't matter to you. And something that I think also can happen many times, not necessarily, but many times, when we talk about things which are not relevant, then we get to the rights of people, to privacy of people. It's a great chance that we may annoy someone. There are two moving stories. These are from Ghazali, from Sunni sources, but Mullah Muhsin Faid Kashani has kept them because they seem very nice and there is no reason to question them, even if you may not have ability to verify the chain of narration, but they make sense and they are very nice. If we want to give fatwa, then we have to give full assessment to the narrators, but in akhlaq it's easier. So Anas ibn Malik, one of the companions of the Prophet, says a young boy, a young man, was killed on the day of Uhud, the battle of Uhud. He was killed, and then we went to see him. We found that he was hungry and had put some stone on his stomach and fastened with some cloth, something, because they were very poor and hungry. Then his mother came and removed dust and soil from his face and said, Hani an lakal jannah ya bunayya, my dear son, congratulations for heaven. So the mother assumed that this person is now right away going to heaven without even going through questioning anything. According to this, which is mentioned in Sunan al-Tirmidhi, which was one of the Sahih al-Sittah, Rasulullah said, Wama yudrik, how you are sure that he is going to go to heaven right away? Because it's not that everyone who is killed with Rasul, even if it is in the army of Rasulullah, is going to go heaven. There was a person that was killed in one of the battles, and people thought he is shaheed, but Rasulullah said he is qatilul himar. He is killed because of a donkey. He went to take a donkey of enemies and he was killed. So it's not that everyone, even if it is in the army of Rasulullah, is going to be martyrs really. And even if they are martyrs, they have different degrees. So some of them may have some rights of people upon them, etc. So Rasulullah said to the mother, Ma yudrika, what made you aware that this is going right away, your son is going right away to heaven? And then the reason that Rasulullah said, it's very interesting. He didn't say, maybe he missed some of his salat, maybe he missed some of his fasting. Of course, these are all important, but maybe these things Allah forgives, especially for martyrs. I'm not saying now about these things, but I'm saying he didn't mention these things. He said, لَعَلَّهُ كَانَ يَتَكَلَّمْ بِمَا لَا يَعْنِي وَيَمْنَعْ مَا لَا يَضُرُّهُ. Maybe your son used to talk about things which were not relevant. And maybe the extra money that he had, he didn't give to people. So he didn't keep his extra words and he didn't share his extra money. Yeah. With money, you have to be generous. With words, you have to be miserly. Okay? Unless there is a benefit. Of course, if you can benefit people, you speak with someone, maybe hours, to help them, to give them some counseling. But even for a person who is martyred in the battle of Uhud, Rasulullah, according to this hadith, said, we cannot be sure that he is going right away to heaven. Because if he has said extra words, and if he has not helped people with extra money, at least he has to go through questioning. Yeah, he has to answer. Yeah. There is similar hadith about a person who was called Ka'b. Okay, he was not killed, but he was ill, patient. So Rasulullah asked about, because Rasulullah used to ask about people when they are missing. He was very careful and considerate. So Rasulullah said, where is Ka'b? فَقَالُوا مَرِيضٌ. They said he is ill. So Rasulullah went to see him. When Rasulullah went to see Ka'b, then the Rasulullah said, Abshir ya Ka'b. Rasulullah said, be happy. Mother of Ka'b thought that this means that now Ka'b is going right away to heaven because Rasulullah has come to see him and says, be happy and give him bashara. So again, she said, Hani an lakal jannah ya Ka'b. Congratulations, and may you enjoy heaven. So I don't know, we can say happy heaven or enjoy heaven. So then Rasulullah said, who is this lady? They said, it's mother of Ka'b. Then Rasulullah said, Ma yudrika ya Ka'b. Ka'b means mother of Ka'b. Rasulullah said, what made you aware? لَعَلَّ كَعْبًا قَالَ مَا لَا يَعْنِيهِ أَوْ مَنَعَ مَا لَا يُغْنِيهِ. Maybe Ka'b said things which were not relevant. And maybe he didn't give to people the money that was not going to make him rich. Means something that was not going to make big difference. He had extra money and was not going to make a big difference. And he didn't share with people. So it's such an important thing that maybe to us it looks not very important, if I speak, too much, but it's very important because at least you have then to go through process of questioning. Yeah. There was a person that Rasulullah had informed about him going to heaven. And he said, the first person who enters is Rajulun min Ahl al-Jannah. He's one of the people of heaven. Because sometimes, Rasulullah wanted to educate people in this way. So when this person came, they asked him, what you do? What is your secret? So he said, Enni la dha'ifun. I am a weak person. He was a very humble person. He said, I am not a special, I am a very weak person. But I try to have purity of, my sadr, my chest, like heart, and to not get engaged in what doesn't matter, what is not beneficial. So he was not doing something, very special, was looking after his piety and watching his words. Because sometimes we think that maybe we have to do something heroic in order to go to heaven. Yes, sometimes maybe, but it all starts with humbleness and piety and watching your words. And this is what all of us can do. Yeah, it's not something that we need a special training. Of course, if you have training, if you have good mentors, it's very helpful. But up to this much, everyone can do it. Abu Zar says, Rasulullah told me, shall I teach you one action, which is very light on your body, but heavy in your mizan. Yeah, for body is light, means it's easy. But in your akhir, in the hereafter, for mizan, for a scale of your amal, it's very heavy. Because a scale of amal in akhirah is made in the way that only shows good things. Yeah, good things have weight. Man thaqulat mawazinu, opposite to man khaffat mawazinu. Yeah, so we have two scenario. So anything good has weight. Anything bad is void. Yeah, like if you want to sell air to a person who buys gold, it's not going to work. Yeah, because batil is like bubbles. Yeah, batil is like bubbles. It's just void, is empty. So Rasulullah said to Abu Dhar, shall I teach you something that it's easy, light on your body, but heavy in your mizan? He said, Bala ya Rasulullah. I said, yes, of course, please. Rasulullah said, as-samt wa samt wa husnul khulq wa tarku ma la yani. Silence, good temperedness, and leave what doesn't matter to you. Don't be nosy, don't get engaged in everything, don't talk about everything. Luqman, Luqman according to Quran was given hikmah. لَقَدْ آتَيْنَا لُقْمَانَ الْحِكْمَةِ. Allah says we gave Luqman wisdom. Luqman was asked, tell us what is your wisdom? He said, I don't ask about the things that I don't need to ask. And I don't undertake what doesn't matter. I am very focused. Yeah? Therefore, the author says the definition of ma la ya'ni, if someone asks you, what do you mean by the things that don't matter is not relevant? He says, anything that if you are silent and you don't say it, you are not committing any sin. It's not that you are missing your wajibat, and you are not going to lose in dunya or akhirah. So you have to do something which is necessary or beneficial for your dunya or for your akhirah. Yeah. So anything which is not beneficial and it's not necessary, so it's useless. And also, sometimes when we speak things which are not necessary, the problem is that we are wasting also time of other people. And sometimes also we put them in a difficult situation. For example, someone is fasting. Okay, so for example, when it is mustahab, not months of Ramadan, for example. And so you sense maybe he's fasting or she's fasting. So, are you fasting? Why you ask this? If this person says yes, then maybe she gets or he gets into riyah. Yeah, the intention, because it was for the sake of Allah. Now you ask if maybe he or she cannot maintain the sincerity. And even if manages to maintain sincerity, now what was a secret ibadah becomes a public ibadah. There are two different ways of dealing with ibadah. When ibadah is sir or is alan. Yeah? Plus, if this person tries not to give you answer, if you lies is a problem. If wants to get answer, you are putting this person into awkward situation. He, has to think and find a way not to give you right. So sometimes we don't know that how much our unnecessary questions put people into difficulties. Yeah. Sometimes we say, for example, to someone, where are you coming from? If I have to know, for example, is someone that I am responsible, that's different. But if I'm not, why I ask, where are you coming from? Maybe this person was somewhere that person and me have problems, but this person has no problem with them, has to visit them, or wanted to solve problems. We should not keep asking. Or some people, of course, it depends also on the local culture. Some people, as soon as go someone's house, is it your house or you rented? How much you purchased? How did you get the mortgage? They keep asking all these things. What is the reason why we? Yes.
Sorry to stop you there. I just want to, if you can enlighten us. Obviously, you mentioned tradition and cultures as well. Some people, they're brought up in a certain way, so for them it's very normal to ask these questions. How do we overcome this now with our elders?
Yeah.
Trying to make a conversation, and then you're very silent, and then they're like, "Is something the matter?"
Yes, quite difficult.
Why are you here if you're not, speaking? How do we overcome this with our elders? And because it's good for us to sit here and learn it, but putting it in practice without being disrespectful towards our elders.
Sure. So we should try not to initiate this. But if someone asks me a question, I cannot say it's none of your business. It's impolite. It's said that someone said to a person that the neighbor was, for example, called Hassan Agha. Said, Hassan Agha's cow has delivered, and now they have lots of milk. He said, it's none of my business. He said, you are the neighbor and he will give extra milk to you as well. He said, then it's none of your business. Yeah. So this is rude, impolite, yeah? Unless someone talks about something which is haram or otherwise we need to answer. But this is why I'm saying we put the other person in awkward situation. But now, my answer is not useless because I am doing this out of courtesy. I have a good reason to answer. Yeah? So for the sake of respecting that person, I'm sure Allah is pleased with me that I am respecting that person. Sometimes two sides of the conversation don't have the same, hukm or ruling. For example, salam is mustahab. To reply is wajib. Yeah? Although sawab is better, more for the one who initiates salam. 69 sawab for the one who initiates, 1 for the one who answers. But still, the one who initiates is mustahab. The one who answers is wajib. This person is doing something useless or even something bad by asking questions. But I can benefit from it. Like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to listen to nonsense of people. Yeah? And he was not rushing them and trying. He was very patiently listening to them and trying to help them. So for us to listen can be okay, and even we can be rewarded for that. But we have to be just careful. If I can answer in a shorter way, give short answer. Not that now that he asked me questions like triggering me, and then I say so many things, and then now he has 10 other subjects to talk about. Then he gives. So this goes from a one question answer into a whole discussion. Yeah.
Can I just ask a question to follow on from that? Because it's the application. Like there's a lady that I work with who is always quiet and she's depressed and down.
Yeah.
And then you go and you say, "How are you?" Because now you're initiating the conversation. Yeah. She's because that's the courtesy and the sadaqah of the soul.
So this is good.
Isn't it?
This is very good. This is not useless. This is very good. This is ibadah. We said sometimes with your words you can give lots of energy, lots of benefit to other people. This is good. This is certainly good. Just something which is not beneficial. Someone is already, you have talked to him, for example, he's okay, not depressed, etc. And then, I start talking, this. So, what is the reason for speaking unnecessarily? One, al-hirs ala ma'rifat ma la hajata bihi. Greediness for knowing what we don't need to know. Unnecessary curiosity. Because human beings, have curiosity, which is very good. It is our curiosity that pushes us to learn, to discover, to explore. Yeah? But if curiosity is not regulated, then you want to know secrets of people, you want to be nosy, yeah? You want to know everything, especially in this age. So much to know. Yeah? It's explosion of information. Today, if you are not selective, you cannot, really benefit from your time. Millions of books, millions of websites, lectures. You have to be very selective. You have to plan. Yeah? If you don't plan in advance, you have problem. Like you go to a superstore. If you are not careful, you come out and you see you don't have even enough space in the car. Because say, okay, this is good. Then say, this is good. So if you don't have, any reason extra, like making someone happy, etc., before going to the superstore, say, I want to buy this thing, just go to those aisles, get them and go out. Because otherwise, you will end up with, especially if you are hungry, you buy many things. And this is the way actually these superstores, I think make most of the money by interests which are just created in the shop. And sometimes they keep changing the places so that you cannot quickly go and find what you want. You have to see other things as well. So there is a curiosity in us which is good, but it has to be regulated. Otherwise, it becomes nosiness and other things. The other thing is that we want to be happy, and part of happiness is through speaking. Speaking gives us joy. Yeah? Listening is difficult. Speaking is easier and more enjoyable. Therefore, speakers have to be careful that the one who speaks, for example, half an hour, it's difficult, but sometimes to listen half an hour is more difficult, unless they have interest. And sometimes it's a matter of you are bored and you want to entertain yourself with a speech. So either unnecessary curiosity, or you want to enjoy yourself, or you want to somehow get out of boredness. You may speak about these things. And the treatment, the ilaj, the treatment is to think of our death, that we are going to die, and we have to answer about every word we said, even if you didn't complete the sentence. Yeah, sometimes you don't complete the sentence, but you have to answer about that. Yeah, even about our gestures. We look at someone and make mockery of them sometimes, or with hand, for example, someone is looking at, and then another person say, so so, or with our hands sometimes we describe, someone is too tall, too short, too fat, too thin, these things that it's not necessarily by words, any expression we have to answer. So the best treatment is to think about our limited time, we are going to die, and we have to answer. And also think that every moment, every breath is part of your Ra'sul Mal, your capital. And you are not going to be receiving replacements. Yeah? This moment, just now, this moment, finished. It's not going to return. We waste it. If we didn't do anything good, if it was not for the sake of Allah, for the sake of learning, we waste it. If it was for the sake of learning, it remains forever. It's saved. So we have to be very careful. But what is the practical solution? So the theoretical solution is to think of your death, and that every moment is part of your capital which cannot be replaced. Practically is to get used to being alone. Sometimes try to be alone, and this helps you to regulate your speech. And if you are with people, try to be very careful. Even some of the things that you are thinking they are good, don't say. Because, if you go to the border, then there is a chance that you may cross the border. Keep some distance till you gain control. When you are happy with your control and you see that you are able to really manage well, then you can say everything which is good. But to begin with, try to even not say things that you think they are good, and just say what is necessary or almost necessary to gain control. We don't want to end up with being a person who doesn't communicate, doesn't interact with people. No. But we want to be very efficient with our time and communicate to people in the way that people will benefit from what we say. Yeah? People would say, this person is someone that doesn't say anything nonsense, doesn't waste my time, and always I learn from this person. Always I get energy from this person. This is what we want to achieve. Then the second defect, which is very much relevant but not the same, is about fudulul kalam, which means extra words. Maybe you say it's the same as the first one. We say no. Extra words can be even for the things which are beneficial. If I can say in less words, in 1 minute, I shouldn't make it 2 minutes. If I can say it in 5 minutes, I shouldn't make it 6 minutes. Okay? The author says that we have to be very embarrassed when the record of our deeds is open before us, and we see, from morning till, we went to bed, lots of unnecessary words. Yeah, it's embarrassing. We had to do something useful. Then he says, it's very difficult to say what is not useful. So let us learn from the Quran what is useful. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, in Surah Nisa verse 113, talks about people who whisper and says there is no benefit in most of what they whisper. La khayra fi kathiran min najwahum. Most of their whispering is not beneficial. Illa, unless man amara bisadaqatin aw ma'rufin aw islahin bayna nas. Unless they are encouraging people to do some charity work. This is good. Or they are instructing people to do ma'ruf, what is good. Or they try to bring reconciliation. This is also good. Yeah? So if something like this, a charity work, something good, something to help people with the relations, if we want to connect people, bring peace among people, this is good. Otherwise, if it's not beneficial, we should avoid it.
Which surah was that?
Surah Nisa, verse 113. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Tuba liman amsaka al-fadla min lisanih wa anfaqa al-fadla min malih. Rasulullah says, well done to someone who keeps his extra words and gives away his extra money. Then there is also a quotation about Prophet Sulaiman. Prophet Sulaiman was given ability to control jinns. Yeah? And he sent some of them to go around and see what is happening and inform him. Then they said they went to a market and they saw that people, what they do, and then what angels register. They said, we were very surprised that whatever these people did in the market, angels were quickly registering. If we were able to see that everything is registered. Nowadays, maybe with this concept of recording camera, we can somehow understand. But they will also register what is in the heart, intentions, everything. These cameras cannot detect your intention, yeah? But everything they are registering. And then whether we are able to answer, whether we are able to fix problems. So this is also interesting that how these report to the Prophet Sulaiman about this. Inshallah, bi'iznillah, in the next session, we will talk about the third aafaat or defect, which is al-khawdhu fil batil, to get into what is false. So that's inshallah the topic for the next session. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.